Since its foundation in 1946, the NBA has featured a wide variety of star players that have changed the way the game is played and how people view the league. However, even among those stars, there's one that stands out over the rest by far. Chicago Bulls legend Michael Jordan. As soon as he made his debut in the league, Jordan became one of the most dominant players on both ends of the court, as well as one of the greatest winners ever. Then, on top of that, he became a celebrity that helped the league grow in popularity all over the world. For all of his achievements, he earned recognition as the greatest basketball player of all time, a title he retains to this day in most people's eyes. Still, rarely had he talked about those regards, or that was until an interview in which he gave insight on that debate came out in recent days to let us know what he thinks about his status. Welcome to Courtside. Today we're talking about Jordan's position on the GOAT debate and how that affects the case of other candidates. First things first, MJ didn't start being called the greatest of all time just because it sounded good. From his first day as an NBA player, he took the league by storm and did some unbelievable things during his first rookie season. In the years that followed, his legend started to grow as he became arguably one of the greatest scorers ever, as well as an elite defensive player. His offensive game was something that hadn't been seen at the time and paved the road for most of the modern-day superstars. Still, as famous as he became by making amazing things during the regular season, the thing that people remember him for is championships. 6 of them, to be more precise, distributed among 2 three-peats in 8 years, and with not a single loss. Jordan changed the way the game was played by himself. He turned a rather mediocre franchise into a 6-time champion without the help of another superstar and set a new and absurdly high bar for future legends to try to reach. Still, while his combination of talent, personal accolades, winning history, and popularity made him the clear favorite for GOAT status in the eyes of most people, some believe other past and current stars have had better resumes. And whether fans agree with some of them or not, the truth is there are a few players that also have a solid case to challenge Jordan for his throne. In the early days of the league, Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain were the top 2 players on that debate. Both have achievements that may never be tied, such as Russell collecting 11 championship rings or Chamberlain averaging over 50 points during a regular season. Then, after both centers finished their careers, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar came into the league and shook things up by doing a little of what made both Bill and Wilt living legends. He won 6 championships with 2 different teams, earned the MVP trophy a record 6 times, became the league's all-time leader in points scored during the regular season, and had one of the longest careers at the moment. After Kareem came Jordan, and the shooting guard's incredible career and style of play inspired the next generation of legends. Among those players, Kobe Bryant emerged as a clear candidate to succeed the Bulls legend. Kobe took inspiration from Jordan to craft his game, and most of his movements resembled those of his idol to perfection. However, he faced a different era in the league, as well as players that had also learned a lot from MJ. During his career, the Black Mamba faced some of the toughest competition at the wing while also having to deal with the new way defense started being played. Still, much like his idol, he never ran away from the challenge and also became an unstoppable force on offense while still being elite on defense. In the end, he retired with 5 championship rings and, just like Jordan, became the idol of a new generation. Along with Kobe, Tim Duncan emerged as a force in the post-Jordan era, and while most people don't usually name him in the GOAT debate, the truth is that Duncan achieved unparalleled success while turning the Spurs into one of the most respectable and winning franchises ever. And he came a Ray Allen three-pointer away from possibly tying MJ in championships won. But while Kobe and Duncan were busy winning multiple titles, LeBron James was getting ready to become the next and arguably best challenger to Jordan's throne. At the start of his career, championships didn't come as quickly to LeBron as they did to Bryant and Duncan. Still, he quickly established himself as a superstar by leading a mediocre Cavaliers team to contention. Then he decided to do things his own way and joined a different roster to improve his chances to win multiple championships. To date, he's won 4 titles and finals MVPs as the clear leader of 3 teams. And now, with his unique versatility and durability, it looks like he breaks a new record whenever he plays a game. At the moment, James has become arguably the biggest threat to Jordan's throne. By the end of his career, he could even change the criteria for what being the greatest of all time means. Still, until we get to that point, anything could happen. Let's talk about what the GOAT himself had to say about this debate. Back in 2017, Jordan participated in an interview with Cigar Aficionado as part of the magazine's 25th anniversary. But it wasn't until a few weeks ago that the full interview was released. And there we could see MJ talking about multiple topics regarding the NBA. One of the most important of those was, of course, his take on the debate regarding who's the best player to ever step on a basketball court. And his words were as professional as anyone could have expected. He started by saying how, in truth, it all depends on who's watching at the moment. As he explained, he thinks that 20 years from now, LeBron should be regarded as the GOAT over him. As we mentioned earlier, James is currently making an excellent case for himself, and it could be a matter of years before he starts earning recognition as a better player than MJ. However, if we imagine how things should be looking in 20 years, it's fair to think that most of the new generations won't even know about how good Jordan was, unless there's a second part to The Last Dance released by then. Later in the interview, he continued by talking about golf, then made the jump to basketball. He was asked about who he believed was the greatest player in golf, and he answered by saying, those debates are better suited for the media. Still, he gave a little insight by saying there's no point in comparing players that played on different eras, as they weren't able to play each other to determine who's the best. He explained how a way to judge players would be by how they impacted the game or helped it evolve. In particular, he mentioned how Tiger Woods helped golf grow to where it started, including more people and reaching larger audiences. Then he said that it didn't make sense to compare players based on how many championships they won, given that the fact that he won 6 rings and Russell won 11 didn't mean one was better than the other, given that they played in different eras. In short, Jordan stated the obvious. As much fun as it is to debate who might be the GOAT, there's no objective way to comparing players that played in different eras. We will never have a matchup of him against LeBron or a series of Kareem versus Russell to determine who could have been the best at guiding their respective teams. But why is it that eras matter so much in this kind of a debate? Well, the answer is simple. Just like everything else in human history, basketball has evolved over the years. The game we know today is very different from the one that was played 20 years ago, and even more different than the one that was played when Russell and Chamberlain were dominating the league. That means that a player like Jordan or Kobe would have faced a much different challenge if they played in the 60s and perhaps wouldn't have had as successful careers as they did. And the same is true for every player. While it's safe to say that Wilt or Shaq could put up incredible numbers in today's game, it's hard to know whether they would be as appreciated as they were when they were playing. Then, of course, there's at least one more thing that makes it hard to compare all of these players, and that is the fact that they played different positions. So even if there was a world where all of the players we mentioned played at the same time and were all at their peaks, we would hardly see them playing each other. Kobe, LeBron, and Jordan could be matched against each other on both ends of the court, and that would probably be some of the greatest one-on-one duels ever. The same could be said about Russell, Wilt, Kareem, and Duncan. But to name an example, Kobe couldn't play one-on-one against Kareem, as each of them would exploit the strengths and weaknesses that each position naturally carries. While statistics and accolades make things interesting, comparing each player based on that won't bring up a definitive answer. But what could do it is what Jordan suggests, judging each player based on the impact they had on the sport. With that in consideration, there are a few different cases to be made for each player. Russell was the first black superstar in the league and opened things up for many people. Wilt, as he used to say, forced the league to change many rules so that things would be more difficult for players like him. At the time, Kareem became the maximum exponent of durability and took over the league with his signature skyhook. Jordan changed things up by becoming the most dominant and creative player on the perimeter and showed that NBA players could become worldwide celebrities. Kobe and Duncan became famous for the way they succeeded by outworking everyone else while also giving a new meaning to what loyalty is. Then LeBron opened things up for player empowering and changed the way teams had to build their rosters if they wanted to compete for a championship. He also became arguably the most versatile player ever, and it seems like he will succeed Kareem as the most durable. So, who had the most impact? Things would seem to favor Jordan once again. And the fact that he remains one of the most influential figures in sports means that he should keep the throne for a while longer. Still, as he said, things could be very different 20 years from now. All in all, there's one thing we can conclude. Over the NBA's existence, there have been many impactful players that have changed the way we judge greatness. And while we may prefer some of them over the others, we should be grateful for all the contributions they made to the game. All of them brought something unique to basketball, and if we included players like Magic Johnson, Steve Nash, or Steph Curry to the list, we could keep on talking forever. So each legend deserves to be appreciated and respected. But now, who do you think had the most impact on the game? How do you think players could surpass that in the future? Let us know in the comments. We hope you've enjoyed today's video, and if you did, remember to like it and subscribe to our channel for more NBA content. We are Courtside.